Now, I've got a lot of hot takes, and I think this might be my hottest take when it comes to movies, or at least when it comes to the MCU. Most people that watch the Multiverse of Madness actually enjoyed it, because it has a 74% critic score and an 86% audience score. So, most people that watched it actually liked it, and I'm surprised because I feel like it's one of the worst movies to come out of the MCU. Now, I don't think it's the worst, but I do think it's down there with some of the diapers. As soon as I finished the movie, I thought the movie was kinda poo, but after my friends and I started talking about it, we kept bringing up different points, and it just got worse and worse, and we realized how horrible this movie was. Now, I'll start this video spoiler free, and I will talk about spoilers later on, because I can't explain why I found it to be really stinky without talking about some important plot points. So I'll start off talking about the one thing that I liked, and that's the fights and the effects. It's an MCU movie, so 80% of the time you'll get stellar visuals, and the Multiverse of Madness is a part of that 80%. There were a lot of cool and creative fights, like for example the music fight, and there were a bunch of other fights as well that I just can't talk about without getting into spoilers. Like there was a cool scene with the villain using reflections to get to Strange, Wanda and everyone, and it was just visually pleasing. It's something new to the MCU, and it was cool to see this new style of direction with Sam Raimi. But that's all I really liked about this movie. The fights, the edits, the effects, cinematography, and all the visual stuff. Everything else was complete poo. Now, one thing that made me not hate this movie as much though, was this one guy in the theater. This kid laughed at every joke and he had goofy ass reactions when things came up. And he made the experience more interesting. But everything else in this movie was extremely dookie. There wasn't even that much comedy either for an MCU movie, and when they did attempt comedy, it was whatever. Again, that one kid was going crazy, but that's pretty much it. But anyways, in the movie, Strange comes across America Chavez, who's in danger, and with the help of Wanda, they travel through the multiverse to save her and defeat the Rickety Ruha villain. Also, I don't know if anyone else got confused when she said her name, because when she introduced herself, Strange asked, "Who are you?" or something like that, and she said America Chavez. So I thought she said, "I am Erica Chavez," and I thought her name was Erica until they said her name like 5 more times, and it clicked to me that her name was America. Anyway, it was just a confusing name. But all the characters in the movie were pretty stinky, with the worst character being the villain. The villain in this movie might be the shittiest villain in the entire MCU, and there were a lot of poo ones. And the one in this movie is down there with some of the diapers, but I just can't talk about this at all without getting into spoilers. But even the other characters like Wanda and America were also pretty poo. Now, I can't tell if her origin story was meant to be a joke, cause it is unbelievably goofy. I'll just say it cause it's not that big of a spoiler, but she activates her powers for the first time when she gets scared of a bee. So she gets scared and gets sent to a different universe, and her parents are assumed to be dead, even though they'll probably appear in some future movie. But finding out that she lost her parents because of something as little as a bee was so dumb. It's like the Nick Fury thing in Captain Marvel. They could have done so many other things to have her lose her parents. Like her parents could have got her the new Avengers game, and then have that traumatize her into a different universe instead of a goofy ass bee. The Avengers game is way scarier than a bee, and it also could have given her some sort of motivation. Cause during this entire movie, she's just a plot device. I'll talk more about America for a bit in spoilers, but for now, I'll just talk about Strange and some other things for a bit. Now, Strange in this movie wasn't used well enough because he was overshadowed by Wanda. At first, I thought the movie was gonna be about him because like in the first 10 minutes, it seemed like it was gonna be about him learning to move on from his ex and like dealing with the guilt of him giving up the time stone to Thanos. But then they barely do anything with it. Wanda basically steals the movie in a not so good way. But I'll talk about her once I get into spoilers. But spoiler free, that's pretty much it. To anyone that hasn't seen the movie, I know there was a lot of confusion as to what you need to watch, but all you need to watch is WandaVision and Endgame. You don't need to watch No Way Home, Loki, What If, or anything else. Just those 2 movies and whatever movies you had to watch for those movies. I still watched everything else, and if you want to check out my No Way Home and Spider-Man video, then make sure to check it out. But in Multiverse of Madness, just don't be expecting a lot with the multiverse. There are like 2 surprises cause the biggest reveal was spoiled in the trailer. So also make sure to not watch any of the trailers cause they spoil the biggest moment in the entire movie and the ending. It's easily the worst trailer I've ever seen when it comes to hiding important details and plot points. I don't know who made it, but the No Way Home trailer is somehow better. And that trailer was awful cause it spoiled Andrew saving MJ. But yeah. When it comes to the multiverse, Spider-Man No Way Home handled it way better, and this movie was a massive letdown from that movie. But I'll be talking about spoilers now, so if you haven't watched the movie, then click to this part of the video in the comments or in the description. I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so spoilers. Now, if you were confused when I was talking about the villain and Wanda separately, I just tried to throw off anyone that didn't see the movie, because then it would have spoiled the movie if I didn't say anything about Wanda and then talked about the villain instead. So let's talk about Wanda now. She's the worst part about the entire movie, and she ruins it because of it. There are so many things that went wrong with her character, so I'll just start off with the end of WandaVision. Now, I actually liked WandaVision, and I liked the first couple of episodes a lot. It was just really unique and unlike anything else I've seen. But then it just becomes typical MCU by the end of the show. But by the end of the show, we see Wanda accepting to let go of Vision and her imaginary children, and it was really nice to see her go from a psychopath to a regular human being. But then the post-credits happened, and it basically reset her character, and she unlearned everything she learned by the end of the show. She wanted her kids back when she was practicing her dark magic or whatever, and then her entire arc was undone. Now, she doesn't want them back directly after hearing them once, cause in between WandaVision and this movie she kept getting dreams of them, but it's still stupid to have her learn the same lessons again, but in a shittier way. At the end of this movie, she learns to accept her reality, and in the process of doing so, she kills so many people. Now, even though it's a dumb move for her entire arc, there were still other ways she could have abducted her kids. Like, the first thing she could have done was go into a different universe where her children are orphans, cause that way, she doesn't have to deal with another Wanda, and her kids would have a mom to live with. And the other thing she could have done was recreate her children with a spell she cast on the city in WandaVision, but on a much smaller scale. That way, she'd still have her kids without killing anyone or kidnapping them from another universe. She could have easily gotten her children back without going through anything that happened in this movie. But let's just ignore that and look at what we got, alright? After going through everything she went through this entire movie, the way she gets defeated is so The Last of Us Part 2 type beat. She becomes those, oh no, what have I done, characters, and then just leaves. It's so cliche and the ending is so poo. Like, I don't know how she never realized she was Amber Heard too by the time she met the Illuminati. She legit drops the coldest line in the entire MCU when she kills Jim and the entire Illuminati. But nah, when she sees her kids get scared is when she realizes she's gone too far. What they did to her entire character arc was so poo, and it just hurts the movie a lot. Cause it was more of a Wanda movie than a Doctor Strange movie. And since they were trying to balance the Wanda kidnapping her kid story with Doctor Strange trying to save America, along with the evil Doctor Strange and Illuminati plotline, the movie just starts juggling too many things at once, and it becomes a huge mess. It kind of feels like a poo version of Spider-Man 3. So I feel like they should have just scrapped the entire evil Doctor Strange plot point, cause they barely had any time to explore it. They only brought it up for a bit when he went to the other universe with Mordo and the Illuminati, and near the end when he faced the evil what-if Doctor Strange. That's pretty much it. I feel like they only brought it up so that they can capitalize on the multiverse rumors with the members of the Illuminati, but I don't know. They still could have had the Illuminati say that Wanda was the biggest threat in all of the universes, but for some reason, they wanted Strange to be the most evil anime villain in the entire multiverse. Anyways, that plot point could have just been scrapped. Also, when it came to all the cameos, I had no reaction at all cause it got ruined in the trailers. If I didn't watch the trailer, I would have had no idea Xavier was in the movie cause I got no spoilers from the internet or anything. The only thing that maybe surprised me was seeing Peggy from What If. But people in my theater went crazy for Jim as Fantastic Four man, but I didn't have any reaction cause I don't really know anything about the Fantastic Four. I did watch the worst movie of all time in theaters, but it sucked, so I completely forgot about it like a week after it came out, I wanna say. So none of the cameos really surprised me, and it kind of felt like nostalgia or multiverse bait. I thought they were gonna go testicles deep with the multiverse, but they barely went past the glands. Now they do serve the purpose to show that Wanda is the most OP character in the MCU, but I just feel like they could have had another purpose instead of just having them tie in with the evil Doctor Strange plot. And also, No Way Home handled the multiverse and the cameos better, and I wish that there was more of a continuation from that movie, because the concept of the multiverse in that movie is completely different from this movie. The entire multiverse thing is kind of a grey area though, because there are some plot holes with Loki that they might explain in future movies or shows. Like, it doesn't make sense how there's the different Spider-Men since those movies happened before the MCU and before Loki even created the multiverse. But anyways, they'll probably explain it at some time in the future. But anyways, the last poo part about the entire movie is America Chavez. I already talked about her origin story being super goofy with the B, but on top of that, her character is just a plot device. That's it. If you point a gun to my head and ask me to talk about her, my brain would be blown to goofy ass smithereens. She is Dina from The Last of Us Part 2, just a plot device. She doesn't even know how to control her powers either, but then at the very end, she hears a "you gotta believe in yourself" speech from Wong, and then she can suddenly control her powers with zero explanation whatsoever. Now, they don't have the time to fit in like a training arc or whatever, but having no explanation or progression of her controlling her powers was just super lazy. She was just another Pooh character. I hope they make her character better in the future though, along with the other characters in this movie. Wanda especially better have some massive consequences. They should just bring in the Netflix Punisher and then just have him shoot her. We all know she isn't dead because they didn't show her die, so when she comes back, I want to see Daredevil go against her in court and be like, "But Your Honor, the defendant didn't even subscribe to the channel. She's part of the 97%. And then the judge would be like, "Facts, that shit's criminal. It's Morbin time. Send her to the death sentence room ASAP." The judge is revealed to be Michael Morbius. And then Danny Rand, the immortal Iron Fist, will say, "I am the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kung, I don't remember, but I'm here to Iron Fist you into the death sentence room." And then we'll get to see the Punisher punish her. If that happens, then who knows? This movie might be the greatest movie of all time. But anyways, giving Doctor Strange and The Last of Us Part 2 a final score, I'm gonna give it a bad. Now that might seem generous after everything that I've said, but I can't say it's terrible or anything, cause the fights and the visuals and everything were really good, and it had nice acting and everything as well. Now I don't think there's anything I'd give something equivalent of like a 0 out of 10, and this movie is nowhere near that bad. I feel like a bad is fair, so I'ma give it that. One of the worst MCU movies I've ever seen, and the only movies that are worse are like Black Widow, Iron Man 2, and like Thor the Dark World. I don't know. But if you want me to make a tier list of all the MCU movies, then let me know in the comments. I luckily finished Bugsnax to cleanse my eyes and ears after watching this movie, so that video will be out soon. But until then, later.